Practical Conclusions for Lonely Women. By Anatoly Protopopov. As it was mentioned above, a male can fertilize the maximum number of females if he cares for each female only minimally needed amount of time. This is the reason for preference of easily available women by men. In other words, after the body was obtained, he may lose any interest because the goal is achieved and it is time to take care of another woman. So, we can advise women to avoid intimate contact and even hints at it for as long as possible, of course, except the cases when you need only this. If you worry that without this he will abandon you, that means that he will leave you anyway, and after this even faster. By the way, men's love is more transient than women's, but often is more powerful. To say, it blazes up brighter but burns down faster. The sense of this for men is the same, not to waste time. Do not condemn your men for looking at other women. There is nothing terrible if he does nothing more than look at them. You also assert all the efforts to make men look at you, and the more and longer the better, even if you are married for a long time. To forbid men to look at other women is equal forbidding you to look nice and attractive, attract men's looks. Slightly simplifying, we can say the following: all women like the same men. If you like one man, it is very likely that other women also like him. If you do not like a man, it is very likely that no women ever like him at all. So, if you feel that you have to compete with other women for any particular man, you should know that you will have to compete for the rest of your life even if you succeed in marrying him. And if you see that a man looks like a good one but you feel no call of heart, do not comfort your soul with thoughts that another woman will like him. It is very probable that this good man is doomed for loneliness. At school, when mind is not ripened yet, such an anisotropy of sympathies is well displayed. All girls in the class like 1 to 2 boys who are objectively not the best. The interests of boys are distributed on girls, although not uniformly but more evenly. For men such phenomenon also takes place, though it is less typical. Men's tastes of women are much more diverse. Do not be born nice but be born happy. This proverb is very correct since it reflects the circumstance that men like beautiful women, and that's why there is extremely fierce competition for such women where only high-ranking males win. The word male rather than man is much more suitable here because well-bred, cultured, and honest man as a rule does not have high rank in primeval hierarchy, and primeval swines hopelessly block him from you, who is so pretty. Besides this, such fierce competition for beautiful women cause women to get illusionary feeling of infinitely wide and unlimited in time freedom of choice. When such illusion disappears, the bitter feeling of aimlessly spent years and undeserved resentment toward all men is left. But meanwhile there were the same men with insignificant differences flickering in front of your eyes. The men of the other type were busy with those who were less pretty. So, do not get your whole mind fastened on your look. Subconsciously evaluating a man from primeval point of view, you likely involuntarily attribute to men the same customs and try to increase your own primeval attractiveness, missing men's rationality. Yes, there are men who react only to this, but do you need them? Having perfected your appearance to the best, you can achieve a reverse result. Looking prodigiously fashionable and refined, you provoke a feeling of your inaccessibility, maybe, a real one. And inaccessible women are not preferred by men, especially by low-ranking ones. So the more stylish you look, the higher concentration of easy riders is around you. Of course, we mean here an extreme degree of stylishness. I do not campaign for slovenliness. Men follow their mind in higher degree, justly considering some elements of primeval marital ritual impolite, uncultured, tactless, humiliating, and so on. You often expect that until the loss of the memory a man will be storming the inaccessible barriers built by you, and the lower the man's rank the higher the barrier's height, but he will consider impolite and humiliating to bother you. Found your defensive reaction, a man might decide that he is unpleasant and annoying to you and will leave in order not to give you unpleasant feelings with his presence. And he is absolutely right from a rational point of view. Highly primitive and high-ranking man simply does not care that he can be disgusting, and his importunate annoyance blocks the reason of your mind, thus achieving the desired result. Those importunate annoyances are the most ancient ritual. Low primitive man discards such impolite rituals and assumes that mutual intimacy of intelligent people should be reciprocal, since it is necessary for both. For example, according to the instinctive ritual, you switch your attitude from warm, forbidding, to cold, and you are puzzled why he does not fight for you. But a low primitive man is puzzled, why did you suddenly become so cold without any reason? He does not suspect that this has to be done according to the ritual, and he is supposed to start conquering you without taking into account any possible impoliteness and humiliation. This does not mean that you should be sexually easily accessible. We are speaking about barriers on the way of intimacy of souls but not bodies. About man's infidelity. It has been already mentioned above that the instinctive limitations of sexual expansion are absent in men. However, there are two serious issues. First, this expansion can be released only by a man with high rank. Low-ranking man maybe also would like, but women, whose husbands suddenly became rich, notice that he started betraying or even left for good. This man did not change. The explanation is easy. His rank increased and women began to love him. To love and not only to sell themselves. Second issue, absence of instinctive limitations does not mean the absence of rational ones. Men follow mind much more than women do. You will laugh, but men sometimes deliberately do not allow themselves to betray due to moral and ethical considerations. Of course, if you suit him comprehensively. About personal ads in classifieds. Men resort to it if their rank is low or they have some problems in biography, conviction, for example. If you write in your personal ad that you want a kind, honest, etc., then having met exactly such man, you will probably find that you have no feelings toward him. And regarding former criminals, be aware that antisocial behavior often is an attribute of high rank. Be careful. Furthermore, you want this man to be well off. It is understandable, but men perceive such requirement with abhorrence, justly supposing that love for money is prostitution, but maybe, you had in mind only his high rank, i.e. ability to take everything from life. Your 40-year birthday is very close, but you still have no man. Have you already agreed for any man? But what do you mean any man? Actually, lowering the requirements for the desired husband, a woman usually lessens the requirements to civilized part of his personality, but not to primeval, because it is difficult consciously to lower requirements for something that you cannot realize by your mind. If you really want to get married but not only chat about it, you should take initiative in your own hands. The one who needs something more speaks louder about it. However, do not try to storm Poruchkiks. This is hopeless and not original. If you really want to get married but do not want to act, this is, sorry to say, self-delusion. Sometimes it can be enough just to lower the speed of running away, but I warn once more about inadmissibility of early intimate contact. Almost every man always agree for that, and almost with every woman. His agreement for an intimate contact does not affect the outlook of long-term relationships. Here an analogy can be drawn with your reaction to his signs of attention. You will accept them, but this does not mean anything. Do you find this to be humiliating and cannot step over yourself? I can just feel sorry for you. Decent men do not want to stoop either, especially taking into account that men are less interested in long-term relationships. Trusting woman's nature, i.e. instinctive behavioral program, that proposes defensive and waiting role of woman toward men, you will again and again recreate primeval environment around yourself where there was no monogamous marriage, and a female was taken by the most aggressive and bold male. Expecting such one to be decent is, at least, naive. Speaking in other words, if you are going to sit and wait until somebody finds you, then you most likely will be found by a real male, easy rider. It makes sense to trust your heart only if your goal is maximum of momentary, especially sexual, sensations. Even in this case, if you do not want to bear a difficult child, or moreover, if you worry about growing aggressiveness of mankind, it is better to protect yourself from pregnancy. To build a stable family, the voice of heart cannot be trusted. Since turned on instinct blocks your judgment, you should try to resort to the help of other people who can judge with common sense. If mulling over the perspectives of marriage you have a goal to become a grand lady at any price, you, of course, need a high-ranking dominant despite all the dangers connected with him. But even in this case it is better not to trust the heart. It can call you to the self-enamored grumbler whose behavior has some resemblance with behavior of a real dominant. Meanwhile, the main value of a high-ranking person is his ability to succeed in life, may not exist. It might happen that your beloved one will have neither the advantages of a faithful family man credited to low-ranking males nor the ability to take everything from life pertaining to high-ranking ones, but will have only high-ranking arrogance and nothing more. Women who were caught by dishonest womanizer often tell the following: "Yes, I understand that he lies to me, that all his nice and tender words are a lie, but I cannot do anything with myself." This is an example of highly primitive behavior. Subconsciousness, realizing instinctive marital ritual, neither can reason by itself nor is interested in opinion of mind. The main thing for it is the match with template. And when it matches, the feelings start working with all the cylinders firing. Trusting her mind, low primitive woman will not be caught in this trap. Primeval sorcery might not affect her. What lies more often, a heart or a mind? A lie can be different. Rational judgment is based on knowledge gained during upbringing, education, and on one's own and others' life experience. If because of any reasons the mind is weak, it can deceive, let's say, fail, due to its weakness. It can fail to calculate all the consequences of the situation. That's why with passing years and gaining some experience, the number of failures decreases. Experience does not affect instinctive programs at all. And heart does not lie because it does not promise anything at all. Even if it promises, then it promises nothing more than the moment of bliss. Since monogamous marriage is not foreseen in instinctive programs as well as participation of males in children upbringing, so it is easy to imagine the following evolution of events. From all the above mentioned does not follow that I appeal to you to reject high-ranking men and to prefer low-ranking ones. Low-ranking man is not necessarily educated, cultured and honest. There are some very odious persons among them, especially at the bottom of hierarchical pyramid and vice versa. Not every dominant is cad. Quite the contrary, I call you upon not to pay any attention to the rank. What I mean is that you should not come under the influence of hypnosis of high-ranking male blocking the perception of objective advantages and weaknesses. The present touting of low-ranking men's virtues in the text is created to compensate dominating everywhere strongly biased opinion in favor of high-ranking males. But even if I'd like to recommend someone, then it would have been the low primitive men regardless the rank. Another point is that the heart does not understand them, but the triumph of mind is possible only with the appropriate genetic base. Of course, high-ranking men have not only imperfections and weaknesses. Many of them are very good breadwinners, and if you are lucky and his rank is real, you will be much better off behind him. However, high-ranking male is usually always egoistic, and the material welfare which he gets may be handed down not to you or not only to you. Moreover, his ability to accommodate himself in life can play a trick with you. he will accommodate himself and succeed in life at your own expense.